News.mc on Monaco Info is brought to you by Monaco Legend Properties. Our exclusive interview with the personalities making the Principality.
My name is Roland Brautigam. I'm the ambassador of Mercy Ships here in Monaco. I lived in Germany, in rural Germany, until I was 14. Then I moved to Holland, where I lived 17 years. In Rotterdam. This is where I got into shipping also. After Holland, I moved to Australia, where I was for 9-10 years as a shipbroker, and we had a very successful story there in Australia. And then I came back to Europe in 2008 for us to settle first in France, but then we were given the opportunity to live in Monaco, and that was 2010. And I've been a proud resident of Monaco since then. This is very funny because I always tell people the same thing. It was not my choice. I think we were chosen, and I think to live in Monaco, I think you're chosen. For me, Monaco is home. So that's very simple. I have no intention to ever leave, and I travel around the world and I'm busy a lot. But Monaco is my home. It's where my home is, where my heart is, where my work is, where everything is. The fascination with water started when I was 5 because I grew up on a yacht club on a lake in Germany. Then, of course, when we moved to Rotterdam, which is the largest port of the world, was at the time. It was quite natural to enter into the shipping industry when you live in Rotterdam. I started in shipping just as a young man and made my way up in the shipbroking industry particularly. And then in Australia, I was also employed by a company called Asia World. But eventually in Australia, I started to stand on my 2 feet and continue that. I was in 2007, and in 2010 we started Romas here in Monaco. We are working particularly in subsea and offshore construction. And offshore construction can mean both oil and gas and renewables energy. We buy and sell very particular equipment, such as subsea cranes. And in that segment, we are one of the world leaders. Although it's a very small niche market, but that's what we do. We buy and sell equipment that is related to the subsea market and to ships that service the oil and gas or renewables industry. Interestingly, though, that Monaco does have a large shipping community, a member of the Propeller Club, and it's not uncommon for there to be 100 people there on the Wednesday night to talk to each other once a month. And so there is a big shipping community as well here, outside of the yachting industry. Not many people are aware of that. Mercy Ships is an organization that operates the 2 largest civilian hospital ships, the African Mercy and the Global Mercy. On board of these ships in Africa, healthcare is provided to people who have zero access to healthcare. It's an amazing organization which started in 1978, and I became to be involved with Mercy Ships during COVID period. And it grew over the years. In 2022 we had a small event. Last year in 2024 we had our first fundraising gala, and we managed to raise 400,000 euros during this first gala. In Monaco I'm the ambassador for Mercy Ships, so I try to raise awareness for this wonderful charity. And of course there are other ambassadors outside of Monaco. But in Monaco I'm the ambassador, yes. And so I do that with a lot of love. It started with Don Stevens in 1978, after he had had a meeting with the Dalai Lama, who inspired him to start Mercy Ships. And they started their first ship in 1978. And it's now grown to become an organization which has per year 2,600 volunteers on board. And these are nurses, dentists, surgeons, teachers, but think also of mechanics, technicians. So they're volunteers, so they work for free, and they take 6 months out of their lives, or longer, sometimes a year or longer, to do nothing else than to heal people in the poorest countries on earth for free. Currently one is in Madagascar, African Mercy is in Madagascar, and the Global Mercy is in Sierra Leone. On board 3 things happen. So first of all, surgical healthcare is provided to people who have no access to it. Sometimes people walk around with conditions for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, benign tumors, for example. So these are operations done on board. So it's not uncommon for people to come on board after being blind for 20 years, all their life, only to have a 20-minute cataract operation. And for the first time of their life, see their parents, their children. This is what happens on board. So immediate healthcare, saving lives and transforming lives is number 1. Number 2 is there are theaters on board of the ships, and local doctors are invited to come and participate and get training. So throughout the years, if I'm not mistaken, over 55,000 healthcare professionals have been trained on board. So it has a huge impact on the local community. So not only do we operate, but we also provide training so they can help themselves better, particularly in the rural areas. Then the third, also very important part is we provide supplies and local support. What does that mean? The people Mercy goes into the bush, goes into the country. Think about 3 out of 4 hospitals in sub-Saharan Africa don't have running water. 24 out of 25 have no Wi-Fi. Sometimes there are areas where there's 1 doctor for 10,000 people. So the impact that we give by rebuilding the hospitals, it's a huge impact. So Mercy has a huge direct impact. This is what I always like to say, it's a direct impact charity. Mercy Ships has a commitment from a large shipping company to provide half of the construction costs. So we are now trying to assist in raising the funds for the next state-of-the-art hospital ships for Mercy Ships, which hopefully will be delivered in the next few years. The ship itself will be somewhere around $250 million US, I'd say. Equipment, a lot of it is donated. Mercy Ships does not get grants from USAID or any other of the other NGOs. No government support, except a very minor part from the UK government and the Norwegian government, but they are not even 5%, I understand, from the total revenue. And the rest donations, so we depend on people like the generosity of, in our case, the people of Monaco. The people in Monaco can support Mercy Ships by going on the Eventbrite website and buy a ticket for the gala, although there are not so many tickets left. We will be organizing smaller events throughout the year. Come to those as well. And for instance, tomorrow evening we have a party during the Grand Prix here on board of a vessel, and during that event people can donate. Unfortunately, this event is full, but we will have other events in the future. And then, of course, you can donate directly on mercyships.org. It would be amazing if Mercy Ships would not be necessary. That's the dream of Mercy Ships, that Africa can sustain its own healthcare, and that everybody in Africa has the same access to healthcare as we know here in Europe. When that's achieved, then Mercy Ships can stop, and that would be amazing. For me personally, Mercy Ships, it's taken a lot of my time and effort, and I do that with a lot of love. We're very happy to announce that we can have a cooperation with the Barbagians, and that Mercy Ships, hopefully next year already, if not soon, will be the recipient of the contributions to the Barbagians charity. So we've been approved by the Barbagians, and we are extremely proud and happy to be able to announce that. To be very honest, I think in the beginning it was not an advantage, because if people know that you live in Monaco, they think already, oh, he already has money, we don't have to pay him, that sort of thing. Yeah, I'm sure that I'm not the only one with that experience. Throughout the years, though, as the company continued and we maintained our reputation of being an honest business partner and hardworking, and explain more about our business and people know us, it becomes an advantage to have an office in Monaco. Yeah. But it's not always an advantage. But the shipping industry is very traditional. It can be a challenge. Yeah. We always receive guests and welcome them very gladly in Monaco and show them around. And when I have business people and we have a couple of hours, I always drive them to the palace and show them around the Rock and the Oceanographic Museum. Try to show them also the places that people don't necessarily see, and go to restaurants that perhaps are more for the locals. So we do that with a lot of pleasure, and it's always appreciated. If I look back at 2010, is that it has become a much more family-friendly place in those years, from the moment the princess moved here compared to before. Just as an example, when we came 2010, my boys went to ISM and had 300 students. Well, I don't have to tell you now, it's 1,000, maybe close to 1,000, and they have this huge, beautiful school at the end of Avenue Princess Grace. So that alone in itself already gives you an example of how many more families have moved into this place. And it has become more modern. We have now Mare Terra, amazing development. The entire waterfront is almost modernized. Larvotto has changed amazingly. And I'm sure that there will be many more exciting developments to come. And yes, from when it comes to restaurants and nightlife, etc., I think Monaco beats them all. First of all, always very happy to come back, and other cities have, of course, other places, in my opinion, of trying to copy part of Monaco, but you simply cannot copy the heritage and the culture. It's impossible. So it's unique. And particularly also, don't forget the safety we enjoy in this place. It's amazing, the education, the healthcare. These are things that are very, very important to live in. So yes, for me, it's a unique place. Of course, the same counts more or less for Dubai and Singapore also, but then they lack the culture and the heritage that we enjoy here.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching News.mc, your English rendezvous on Monaco Info. Discover more interviews and stories on our websites, news.mc and monacoinfo.com. This show was brought to you by Monaco Legend Properties.